Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, everything about power plants. So, in continuation with my previous lecture uh, on RRAS, I would be explaining certain more guidelines which are related to RRAS which we had discussed in our previous presentation. Now, uh, in my this presentation, I would be covering upon the role of RPCs, that is regional power committees, the role of SLDCs, the triggering criteria for RRAS, and what would be the methodology followed for RRAS dispatch. So let's begin with. Now, the RPC stand for Regional Power Committees. The Regional Power Committees will publish the data on their website by 12th of a current month. The data is provided in the format AS3, and the data providers are the IHGS stations who are basically participating in this RRAS process. Now, the form AS3 is almost similar to the form AS1. The only difference is that form AS1 is used by RS providers to provide the data to the RPC, and in the form AS3 the RPCs provide the data by the RRAS providers on their website. Now, let me just revise you what is the data which is being provided in the AS3, or what are the data which has been covered in the AS3. First is the station name, second is the unit wise and the total installed capacity, what is the type of fuel used, whether it's a coal based, gas based, lignite based, what is the maximum possible X bus injection, what is the region in the bid area, what is the ramp up rate, what is the ramp down rate, what is the technical minimum megawatt which uh, the station is bind as per the CRC rules and regulations, what is the fixed cost, what is the variable cost, what is the startup time for cold start and warm start, and if there is any module constraint, and this particular data is for gas based station. Now, the information which I have just told you is valid from 16th of current month till the 15th of next day. Now, after this, a suitable and a mutually agreed file transfer protocol takes place between the RPCs and the nodal agencies, that is RLDC. Other than that, the format or the form, or I would say the energy accounting charges or the fixed charges or the variable charges which is being provided by the RRAS provider is used for preparation of energy or energy/deviation account. Now, there would not be any possible to revise these charges once they were provided by RRAS to the RPCs and to the NLDCs or RLDCs. So, no any post facto revision in these rates or charges provided by RRAS providers shall not be permitted. Now, next comes into account. Next, we will talk about the role of SLDCs in RRAS. The SLDC plays an important role in RRAS. As per the Indian Electricity Grid Code, the SLDC will prepare a block-wise daily forecast of demand. Now, this demand preparation will be as per format AS4, which I have just shown you on my, which has been just shown on the left hand side of this slide, and the information will be made by 1500 hours of current day for next day, that is on day ahead basis, considering the various factors such as the historical data, the weather forecast, the any outage plan of units or transmission elements, etc. Once this information is prepared, it will be submitted by SLDCs to the concerned RLDC, through a mutually agreed file transfer protocol by 1600 hours. In case if there is any revision is required in the forecast, subsequently after submission of this revision, it should be also communicated by SLDC to the concerned RLDC. So basically the SLDC provide the basic demand, also the basic demand of electricity in respect of their state to the RLDC slash to the RLDC and LLDC for the next day. So any change in this demand or in this demand of electricity by state will be now compensated through RRAS, keeping the grid security in mind. Now, next we will talk about the triggering criteria for RRAS. The triggering for before telling you about the triggering criteria for RRAS, let me give you something about basic information that the RLDC will prepare the schedule for the next day, that is from 00 hours for the next 24 hours by 1800 hours of current day. For example, suppose today is 15th of or I would say today is 28th of June. Now RLDC will by 1800 hours, that is by 6 pm, will publish the schedule for all the interstate generating stations for 29th of June from 00 hours to till 2400 hours. So that 1800 hours schedule, which has been first prepared by the RLDC, keeping in mind the demand and the supply scenario, is called revision 0. Once this revision 0 is published, any subsequent change will be called a revision 1, revision 2 or any other revision number. Now we will talk about the cases which will actually affect RRAS up and down. The RRAS up or down may be affected if there are extreme weather conditions such as cyclones, storm, dust storms, fog, hail, storms, etc. Or in case there is a festival on the next day. This may lead to a change in demand patterns or depletion in the network by tripping of some network elements such as uh, transmission lines during fog or during cyclones. Next scenario for triggering of RRAS is the generating unit or the transmission line outages. In case of likelihood of any violation of transmission corridor or violation of ATC or any curtailment of LTA or MTOA, or MTO stand for basically medium term open access or short term access, okay, due to force outage of any element, means either from the generating side or from the supply side or from the receiving end side, then node agency may issue instruction for up and down of regulation of any RRAS provider. The third thing is the trend of load. If the RLDC found out that any of the region is having the impact of load on line loading, now this is keeping in mind the weather or high agriculture demand or any higher import and from any region or higher uh, requirement of or I would say the any line outages. So any load met trend, if it is found which is sudden, which is not been actually pre-calculated, then this is met through up and down regulation of RRAS. The next thing is that frequency. If the frequency remains below for 49.90 Hz continuously for a period of 5 minutes or more in a time block and giving due regard to forecast, the nodal agency may issue regulations or instructions. Similarly, if the frequency remains above 50.05 Hz continuously for a period of 5 minutes or more in a time block and giving due regard to forecast, the nodal agency may issue regulation down instructions also. In case of high frequency, the nodal agency may also withdraw the up instruction of RRAS, which it had already given to any particular RRAS provider. Now, if there is an intimation of any abnormal event such as hydro generating station units due to silt, or a outage of any thermal generating station due to coal shortage, or any nuclear unit outage, or any outage of any ultra mega solar power parks, wind generation due to sudden weather changes. So these things are also covered, or these things are also triggering criteria for RRAS. The next thing is that loop flows leading to congestion. For example, in a scenario where real-time flows are different from those considered while estimating the TTCs and ATCs. The next thing is that which I want to talk about is the trend of computed area control error. Now, what is this area control error? The area control error is basically nothing that the what should be the actual energy interchange is there and what is the schedule. The difference between the actual energy interchange and the scheduled energy interchange minus the frequency factor, or the frequency which is actually happening or because of this, is called area control error. So as per area control error, if there is an area control error of greater than 10, then only the RRAS is normally applicable. This area control error is basically the initial forecast for applicable of RRAS. Next is about the triggering criteria for RRAS is the recall by the original beneficiary. The next criteria for RRAS triggering is the any major upstream or any major change in the grid voltage which is beyond the operating range specified in the Indian Electricity Grid Code, or the real-time power flow along a corridor in such that n-1 criteria may not be satisfied, or any transmitter line are loaded beyond the normal limit specified in CA manual. In that events also the RRS will be applicable, or it will come into picture. Other than that, if there is an anticipated system conditions which is required for stability of grid, then also the RRS will come into picture. So these all are the triggering criteria for RRAS implementation. Now, last we will talk about, in that is the last thing which we will talk about today in RRAS is the up regulations and the down regulation. Basically, what is the methodology followed? In case of up regulation, normally the first preference is given for the units which are already running. For example, if there is any unit which is running and it is running and having our further capacity to generate without being overloaded to 105% of its maximum capacity, then the unit may be first given a RRAS up scenario. Now, this up scenario is actually based on one another factor that is called merit order. So, if there is a merit order, and unit is merit order means the variable cost of a plant. So, if a variable cost of a plant is less and it has further capacity or further margin to increase the generation, then that station or that RRS provider will be given a first preference for providing the electricity or the providing the energy requirement in RRAS. Second is the unit which are under reserve shutdown. Now, if in case there is a great demand and it has been observed that the certain units have to be brought from certain units have revival has to be done because the present units would not be able to meet the demand despite being sufficiently or fully loaded, then the node agency may allow for reviving of unit. A minimum dispatch duration of 96 time blocks, that is 24 hours, shall be given by the node agency to the thermal power plant for the time the unit is scheduled for providing RRAS. Or the in case nowadays we are actually filling up the form AS1 also, in which it has been asked by from the generators or from the RRAS provider that what is a minimum time which is being required for a generating station to bring a unit on bar for cold startup and in case of warm startup. Now, similarly, in case of gas-based station, the time which is required for revival of a unit is 12 time block, that is 3 hours. Now, in this whole revival of generating station, the due consideration is also given to the ramp rate and the congestion. Now, in case of down regulation, in case the demand requirement is very less as compared to the current generating station technical minimum capacity, then the units are also brought down. In this also, the first preference is given to make the all your units run on technical minimum, and the second preference is that in still it's not been possible, then the unit been told to go off bar. Normally, the node agency shall review the dispatch made under RRAS on an hourly basis, but in case of any exigencies, this is being reviewed continuously. Now, in my next presentation, I would be talking about further more about the RRAS, like scheduling and other things which have been left uh, in RRAS. So, till then, if you like my presentation, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Thank you. Take care.